once that clicks, you'll realize that you didn't stand a chance. So when you sit quietly and think about this sort of stuff, it certainly brings the enemy out of the shadows. So if you're struggling with weight, something that we don't stop to consider too much is what got you here won't get you there, won't get you to where you want to be. Oftentimes just wake up one day, realize we've kind of let ourselves go, and in all honesty, it's a little bit your fault, but not entirely your fault. There are a lot of influences around you that can cause issues, and in this video we're going to have a look at those and what you can do about it to get back on to get back on track. So the way we operate is learnt over time. It's a product of our environment, of our influences, of our family, of our colleagues and friends. It's something we've just inherited or learnt over time, and it's really something that we don't put a lot of thought into. So yeah, we always do what we've always done and really don't give that a second thought. So we kind of identify with an outward construct of what we're expected to be, what we're expected to do, and it's the construct that we've always known. So we've always, we don't know any different. Our identity was formed within that framework of our surroundings and our influences, and it leads to the old adage that we always do what we've always done, and ergo we'll always get what we've always got. So if you're at a point now that you're not entirely happy, that's a product of doing the same things over and over and over, without making any real change. So why do we accept that status quo? So we rarely think about it. We rarely look inwards to think, are we entirely happy with our lot? And we certainly rarely reflect on the limitations that have been placed on us as a product of our environment and our surroundings. So why is that? I guess we're all really busy these days. We're all tied up with the noise of modern life, the external busyness of work, producing, doing, without any real time to stop and think about what's going on. And we certainly spare little thought to our own health or our own well-being. So we never really stop and think about what we need, why we think the way we do, why we act the way we do, and in the context of what I talk about, why we eat the things we eat. So we never stop and think about, what we're putting on our plates. Is that really the best for us? Is that really serving us? And, because we're just flying around, like chickens with their heads cut off, without stopping and taking time to think, and stopping for a little introspection is very, very rare. So we certainly never stop and think about how we became the way we are, how we operate, how we think about health and well-being, and we certainly never stop and think about how we got in such a state. If you're not happy with the way you are physically, do you ever really stop and think, well, I know I've let things slip, I've let things go, but you never really stop and think about why and what you should maybe do about it. So why not? Well, these days your life is just a fire hose of constant information. So it's just wall to wall, doom scrolling on social media. It might be, back to back, mind numbing reality TV, 200 streaming channels to choose from. You never really take the time to sit and, just think. The big problem is 24-hour news cycle. So you've got back-to-back news whenever you want to watch it. Stream of social media, the streaming services, the 24-hour news cycle, all of that's packed full of sponsored messages. So no matter where you're getting that information from, it's all jam-packed with clever marketing, especially by the food companies. They've got profits front and center, and certainly not your well-being and your health. And it's just wall-to-wall, 24/7 garbage. So disconnecting, finding some quiet time, just sitting and reflecting on your life, what you're doing, how you go about things, just allows you to think about where you are, where you'd like to be, and what's going on in your life that's maybe influencing the poor choices. So once you do stop and take a breath, you can start questioning that self-destructive behavior. Why do you grab? Why do you, when things are going a bit tough, grab a box of donuts or grab a case of beers and think nothing of doing that? So when you do stop and pause, take a breath and think about these things, you can really question whether normal is in your best interest, especially when it comes to health and diet. Just sitting quietly, if you're not used to it, it can be quite tough. It's just sitting and taking 5 or 10 minutes to, ponder the universe is for most people not a normal thing to do. But when you do, you can start to think and observe what you're doing and question whether your current actions are entirely in your best interest. I did, and the answer was pretty clear. So you can also start to question your self-limiting beliefs. So you got people around you that reinforce personal negatives. So I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too set in my ways, too late for me to change. All of these are, blatantly false, but will get cheered on by the people around you. So, and when you do notice those kind of thoughts popping up, you will certainly be in a place where you can start to decide that you can make changes, and that's when the journey begins. So the normal you inherited from your environment, from your surroundings, from the people that you live with, work with, hang out with, shape the way that you operate. Your internal operating system was governed by those influences, whether, and you probably haven't thought about that ever. Most people haven't, but it's true, and something that once you uncover that, you can start to break free and make some real changes. Your current normal got you to where you are now. What you've got to consider is whether that's where you want to be. So when you stop and think about what is normal, you can start to challenge these norms. What's a normal breakfast? What's a normal dinner? What's a normal after work ritual? Is that grabbing some beers, bottle of wine, a bottle of scotch? All these things that you just do subconsciously, aren't doing you any favors, and you need to sort of out those habits to be able to start addressing them. So once it clicks that big food is making bad choices desirable or almost irresistible, you can start to appreciate the problem. Those choices that you made, made you fat. The choices you made gave you pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, or the choices you were encouraged to take, blew up your blood pressure, wrecked your blood sugar. Those choices, once your weight's out of control, once your blood sugar's out of control. You're just creating the perfect environment for, cancer cells to thrive, and a whole host of other serious health issues. But don't worry, there's a pill for that. Big Pharma are sitting on the sidelines with a pill to fix everything. Of course, they won't fix the cause. They'll only fix the symptoms, because there's only profit in treating sick people, not profit in fixing fixed people. So once you work out what the big food marketing people, the pharmaceutical industry marketing people have been doing for 50 or 60 years, once that clicks, you'll realize that you didn't stand a chance. So once that clicks, you can also start to move away from, the old normal and move towards a better version of yourself. So when you sit quietly and think about this sort of stuff, it certainly brings the enemy out of the shadows. Once you identify the enemy, you can also see the people around you that are encouraging those bad choices. So you can also see the torrent of processed food, sugary treats, sugar-laden carbohydrates. They were all the enemy hiding in the shadows. And once you bring those out and shine a bit of light on them, you can start to realize what needs to happen and what you can do about it. So sugar is definitely the supervillain that the marketing companies and the food companies have been cheering on for years, and that's your mission, is to actively combat that pressure. So sitting quietly to reflect, you can really form a vision of your old path, the path that everybody's on, the path that was leading to an early grave, because it was the path of least resistance. And I'm sure you didn't think for a second about where that path was leading. Where was it leading? The path to morbid obesity, the path to type 2 diabetes, which leads to, leg amputations, and diabetic retinopathy, that leads to blindness. It's also the path to a heart attack, path to dementia, path to perfect conditions for, cancer to thrive, and at the end of the day, a path to an early grave. So there is a better path. What got you here won't get you there. And once you sit and think and clearly identify that you were on the wrong path, the good news is you get to choose a new one. So it's a leaner, fitter, healthier path where you get to keep both legs and you don't go blind. So I'm as guilty as anyone. I never gave any thought to my health. I hit mid-50s, and I had no idea what I was shoving down my gullet was trying to kill me. But I got a wake-up call, and that forced a change. So I chose a new path when I was 55. I basically cut sugar and carbs, and then immediately lost 23 kilos. My type 2 diabetes went into remission very quickly, just through taking a better path. So the crazy thing was, it wasn't a difficult path. I had no idea that the extent of my food choices were doing so much damage, but I tackled it. I chose a different path, and the good news is you can too. You can choose the old path, or you can choose a new path. You have choices, so just choose wisely. I've been Alan. I survived a very carb and sugar heavy diet for 50 years, so hopefully that makes the channel name make a bit more sense. So I'm here to help and encourage you to start out on a lower carb, lower sugar journey. Hopefully no carbs and no sugar, but everybody needs to just do what they can. If you need an occasional pep talk or some great low-carb recipe options, I've got a recipe playlist. I've got some mindset stuff on my channel as well, just to help you, you know, kick yourself in the butt and get into it. So if you need a bit of support along the way, please feel free to subscribe. It doesn't cost a penny. In fact, I've got nothing to sell you. I've got no courses, no mentorships, no books, no nothing, no high-tech coaching. I just feel compelled to share what I did because it was, you know, pretty simple. You know, not always easy, but very simple. And I'm just here to help if you choose a similar path. So I'm sharing this video because I think the message that I've got can help a lot of people. I mean, maybe you know somebody that could do with a little pep talk, you know, a little helping hand, going on to a healthier journey. You know, just feel free to share this video, share a link to my channel, and feel free to follow along. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.